I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend you.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I kiss you on the mouth.
No, I'm not cool with that. I'm sorry.
One more time.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I mean, I'm dealing with degenerate animals.
I'm disappointed in every one of you. Disappointed in every one of you.
All right, come on.
Honestly, I can't do it, man.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
Let me tell you why.
It's gonna be all right, Nicky. Go ahead, shoot.
He just killed a fucking man.
What are you going to do about it?
Yeah, because you got nothing. You don't got a thing. Yeah, because you got nothing. You got nothing.
I want to get out. I want to get out of this rat hole. I want to get online. I need
BDA boxing.
Oh, shout out to everybody in the chat. Shout out to everybody joining us on this very special Sunday. This is your good host, Mr. BDA. It's the BDA Boxing Debate Arena, broadcasting to you live from the true north. Fellas, thank you so much for joining us. There's a lot to get to, so let's make this intro quick. Thank you for joining us. You guys know that if you want to listen to this show at your own leisure, you can join us on Spotify, iTunes, Spreaker, at your own leisure. If you want to donate a couple of shekels our way, you're certainly welcome to do so. It's always better if you join the membership program. That way you get more bang for your buck. But the most important thing is you continue to like, subscribe, you spread that BDA gospel, all right? And if you want to join the Patreon to keep funding some of the documentaries we're going to be doing and that we're currently working on, you're certainly welcome to do so. It's only $2, and YouTube doesn't take its third, its percentage, its taste, as we like to say in the streets. Shout out to everybody in the chat. I'm talking, Never Sobers. Shout out to Never Sobers, who says, salute to my fellow geniuses. Well, shout out to you. Shout out to Never Sobers, giving himself a little compliment there as well. Shout out to him. Shout out to Sergeant, Buddy Lee, LL, Hard Recoil, Errol Stevens in the house. Shout out to Errol Stevens. To Matador, Roland Curtis. Who else we got? JJ, Hand Flow Boxing Review, Baron Evola, Warp Speed in the house. Shout out to Warp Speed. The aforementioned Never Sobers, shout out to him. LL, to Matador. How many more people to come, I'm sure. Fellas, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. All right, so listen, like I said, we got a lot to get to here. And I do mean a lot. 2 straight days of boxing. In fact, there's some boxing today too from England. And I believe there was some boxing in Japan. Unless I'm mistaken. So we got to get to that. Shout out to Dark Hado in the chat as well. Shout out to him. One of the anointed ones. And listen, I got to double check here because I got my, NSAC's rulebook. NSAC, that's Nevada State Athletic Commission rulebook. And it's, we gotta clear up a couple of things in regards to the tszyu situation. A little bit of a bizarre situation. It's a tricky situation that we got to look into. So I'm going to be doing that during the show. I didn't have time to do this. We do have to end this show at about 3:30. I got a prior commitment that I may have to get into. I get an overseas call coming in as well. It is Easter Sunday, by the way, so we're going to be doing things a little bit differently here today. But again, shout out to everybody that joined us. Really appreciate it. In the meantime, I'm just inviting a couple of people here. By the way, is the stream from yesterday available, or did we? I don't know if we made that private, but yeah, we did a big, some sort of a long show yesterday. Just left the stream on, and that was it. By the way, people are saying that there's boxing on right now. Who's fighting today? I mean, I know that the Brits are fighting, but isn't that until 5 o'clock, the main event? Let me know in the chat. Meanwhile, I'm double checking here to see whether that show is still up from yesterday. Yeah, the mega countdown. That was Bucho. He likes to do the mega countdowns. It's still up. It's still up. All right. Yeah, like the Can Man says, click the like, hit the like. It really helps us out. Shout out to John Seals in the house. Shout out to John Seals. See, we're going to see if Spence is really compromised. You know, that's what some people were saying. I was perusing Twitter earlier on, and some people were saying, well, Spence didn't sound all that bad when he was in the ring. Now, granted, you know, some people do make the good point that Spence always kind of sounds like he's drunk. You know, I want to go fight, and, you know, I think I'm going to... So that doesn't necessarily mean he was screwed up in the head. I mean, like John Seals says, we'll see in his next fight. It also might be tricky, though, to gauge where Spence is at in this particular moment, because you have to assume that by the time he steps into the ring, it's going to be what? June, July, maybe even August, September. Well over a year since that frightful beating he took from Crawford. And you got to understand something. Errol Spence, he likes to jump in there straight up. I mean, look, the guy was driving drunk, for Pete's sakes. He likes to live life on the edge. In fact, after the accident, after a year-long layoff, who did he step into? Danny Garcia. Now, I know a lot of people like to say, oh, Danny Garcia, he sucks, he's a nobody. He's one of the top welterweights in the world, and he can crack. So you come back up against him after a year-long layoff, you got balls. But perhaps that's the problem with Errol Spence, maybe a little bit too much courage. I would certainly advise him, if I were his manager, to take some sort of tune-up. But I doubt he will do that. I don't think that's the way he does it. And then on top of that, with the PBC, you know, they don't have that many dates available right now. So whatever they put on, especially if it's on pay-per-view, they got to make sure that then attracts a lot of boxing fans, or that you know, they have to make it enticing, in other words. So we'll see. There's also a lot of controversy. Okay, so let's get to it. This whole Tim Tszyu situation. He ended up, let's start with that fight. We had the PBC card yesterday. It was quite entertaining, I must say. But Tim Tszyu ended up encountering a bit of a snafu, career snafu that was not wholly unexpected, but certainly I don't think anybody really predicted that he would lose, or at least not with much confidence. Tim Tszyu ended up losing by split decision against former titleist tszyu-Fundora, so Tim Tszyu loses his undefeated title. Now, this was a controversy abounds all over the place. Because first of all, Tim Tszyu, if you didn't watch the fight, was in control for the first 3 rounds. And if the momentum carried, it looked as if he was going to be stopping Fundora. But then Tim Tszyu ended up running into an elbow, caught him on the top of the head, and the blood never stopped gushing. It appeared to affect his vision, and it was day and night. As soon as he got caught, all of a sudden the fight turned. It became more competitive. So that's what we had going on there. And, you know, some people could say, yeah, but maybe Fundora would have taken over anyway, or not taken over, but, you know, improved afterwards. Maybe. But it's quite coincidental that as soon as the cut happened, and you could see that it was bothering Tim Tszyu, he continuously kept trying to wipe it away, he kept blinking. I believe that to be the case. Of course, I don't know if we can prove it beyond a reasonable doubt, but the evidence is quite evident, as it were. So there's that. But then again, Tim Tszyu, like his father, Costa Tszyu, was one of those guys that never really complained. He never made any excuses. And it's the same thing with Tim Tszyu. Look, they asked him, can you see? He said, yeah, I want to keep going. I recall hearing that. I'd have to rewatch the fight, but never at any point did I hear him say, you know what, I can't see. So it's on him too. And, you know, I was, like I said, I was on Twitter earlier, and I saw Michael Montero said something along the lines of that some people criticized Orlando Salido. No, excuse me, Mikey Garcia. Remember when Mikey Garcia fought Salido, and Garcia dropped him about 5 times or something like that? And he was dominating, but then he ended up having his nose broken. Really twisted to the side. And he said, I think it was Robert Garcia, his trainer, said, look, he can't continue. Pull him out. So they pull him out, and he won a decision based on that. Perhaps Tim Tszyu would have been well served to have, done that as well and said, look, I can't see. Let's go to the scorecards, or maybe prior to the 4th round would have been a no contest. shout out to him though. But because if he would have said no, some people would have criticized him. Depending on how he would have done it. Perhaps I would have criticized him as well. Because nobody likes a guy who just pulls out when he doesn't really need to. But in this scenario, the blood certainly appeared to affect him. And we've seen scenarios before where a guy, especially in Nevada, a guy suffers a cut and they stop the fight. So, because either the injury can he become worse, can worsen, and even lead to greater long-term damage, or simply because it prevents the fighter from defending himself. In this scenario, it prevented tszyu from properly seeing what was occurring, and yet they didn't stop it. I mean, and it was quite evident that the blood was just gushing, covering his face, impairing his vision. Perhaps there's blame to go all around for tszyu and his managers too, or his trainers, not pulling him out. Perhaps too much heart. I mean, I understand people want to win cleanly, and I appreciate that. But again, if he couldn't really see and yet he refused to say anything about it, again, it's commendable. But at the same time, now he walks away with a loss, so it's on him now. And now there's also the issue of a rematch, because apparently, again, this might be on his management. There was no rematch clause put in a contract. It was a verbal agreement, and we all know how those go. You can just that doesn't really hold. I don't think it holds in court. I don't think a court has ever upheld a verbal agreement, or that's dependent on good faith. As soon as I heard, or as I heard the decision, I said, you know what, Fundora, he ain't giving tszyu no rematch, because even before that there were already little talks, little whispers about how Fundora, oh my God, he's 6'5" tall, he can't make 154. He's got to move up. He's got to move up. So now I think that's what's going to happen. I suspect they're going to talk about a rematch. But first of all, they're already talking about fighting Spence. Not even Crawford. You got to remember that prior to this fight, it was alleged that tszyu, whoever won this fight, had to fight Terence Crawford. Now Fundora wins. He's with the PBC. And they're talking about him versus Spence, which would certainly suit that organization better than having tszyu versus Terence Crawford, guys who aren't even really contractually stuck to them, I don't believe. So again, this just leads more credence to the fact, I remember the last show I did that I hosted was on Wednesday, I believe. Some people in the chat were saying that there might have been some shadow play involved with Fundora and tszyu, and the fact that they had pulled Thurman out of there and then replaced him with Fundora, so that maybe trying to give tszyu a loss, especially against the PBC guy, so all the marbles stay on their side of the road. And I said, well, maybe. I mean, we can't prove it beyond a reasonable doubt, but it certainly seems plausible. And then this happens, and all of a sudden they bring in Errol Spence. Now it's Fundora Spence. I'm telling you, tszyu, my feelings are he ain't getting that rematch. I just don't see it happening. Let me read a super chat here real quick, and then we'll get back on this situation here. We shout out to Raider Reaper for his contribution with the super chat. He says, Valdez, Cruz, Fundora, Ramirez, Mexico won big this week. Hey, listen, that's a good point. I guess it was, I don't know, maybe because Mexico is still a very holy place, not holy, but God-fearing place, Christian nation. And this weekend, of course, is Easter Sunday, Easter weekend. So, hey, maybe that was a little bit of a blessing there for God-fearing Mexicans. As we got Uncle Pete there. I know he's Orthodox, so I think their Easter is some other day. They're a bunch of heathens. What can I say? By the way, I'm not a Catholic, by the way. I'm just kidding around. Shout out to SSC for his contribution with the super chat. And he says, Viva Mexico Cabrones. That's what VMC stands for. Mexico, great fights this weekend. Salute BDA. Well, salute to you, SSC. Shout out to you, man. I really appreciate it. And yeah, man. Hey, listen, it's true. A lot of people always talk about Filipino this, American this, more than that. Yeah, why not? Mexico, hey. Very good Mexican weekend, I must say. And, tszyu was the, Fundora, I guess, is Mexican, but tszyu also, some people were saying that he was an honorary Mexican. The way he fights and the way he respects the Mexican style. By the way, I also want to say that we are, the Patreon too, it's funding our documentary. We're working on the documentary now. So I just want to remind people that if you donate just $2 on the Patreon, it really takes us a good long way to keep rolling out and producing these documentaries. And hey, you know what? Maybe we're still working on it. So maybe eventually, if you don't, we will put on some special package or whatever, that if we do some of these documentaries, you guys can decide which segment you want to see. You can make requests. That's the way everyone else does it. So it would be a good idea to implement that into our pipeline. So shout out to SSC for his contribution, man. Really appreciate it. What else? So tszyu, that's what happened with that dude. Ended up losing a very close decision. Now that's the other thing, though. Let's talk about the decision, guys. I'm curious to hear what you got to say. I'm trying to read the comments here as I go along. Some people say that tszyu should have won the fight. He was landing the cleaner shots, some people say. And other than the blood from tszyu, I didn't see much facial damage. I mean, you got to remember that cut was caused by an accidental, inadvertent elbow, whereas Fundora was getting hit clean. All the damage he had was from the punches, from tszyu's fist. He was bloodied up. He was busted up on one eye. So some people say, hey, clean, effective punching. What's up with that? Shouldn't that carry over more than volume punching? And again, that takes us back to this age-old question. What do you prefer? Do you prefer volume and activity, half-landed punches, but nevertheless they're there, or more economical, scarce, yet effective and clean shots? What do you go with? And again, this is one of the problems with boxing, is that it's not, there's a certain amount of subjectivism involved within it. And so, people try to follow the rules as much as possible. Speaking of the rules, I liked how that referee took a point away from Romero for all the clinching. He should have taken more, by the way, but hey, at least he showed people that you can't go around clinching. And I know some people like to go around and calling it tying up now. Trying to, they try to clean it up a little bit, tying up. It's clinching. And it's wrestling. And it's indicative of a person who really doesn't know what to do when the going gets tough in there. And some people say, yeah, but PDA, it's part of boxing. Well, again, an elbow is part of boxing. We see how that will works. Headbutts are part of boxing. Punching a guy after the bell like Richard Butler did. I mean, not Richard Butler. What was the guy's name? Yeah, Butler against Richard Grant. Punching him after the fight was done. Hey, that happens too. Does that make it okay? Does that make it legal? No. Clinching is indicative, again, of a guy who doesn't know how to find the inside, or that he might be tired, or he's buying time. I understand if a guy is hurt, that's where the lines become murkier. But clinching is a big no-no. It degrades the sport. It dilutes the action. Bad all around. So I'm glad that referee took a point away. But back to the tszyu thing. Let me just read a couple of comments here. See what people are saying. Because I'm curious to hear what you guys believe about the decision and the way they let the fight go on with the cut. tszyu landed the better punches, Let Me Ace says. Fundora was pity-pat punching the whole night. Just wanted to look busy. Depends what you like, I guess. Yeah, but see, that's the thing though, man. When the rules say clean, effective punching, I'm seeing tszyu landing head-snapping shots, which I know are way more effective than just a couple of taps. And when I see a guy getting, in conjunction with facial damage, because just facial damage by itself doesn't really tell you if the punch is damaging. Some people bruise easier than others, or cut easier than others. But like I said, it's when you see the clean, effective shot, meaning it's a snap, it's snapping the head back of the other dude, and then you combine that with facial damage. That's when I go, oh, okay, that's a hard shot. But Fundora wasn't just landing pity pats though. He was mixing it up, and there were some shots that were snapping tszyu's head back. So there's that to be said as well. Troll says, should have listened to my advice. Latinos are warriors, don't count them out. I had Tim winning easy too, and yeah, the gash had something to do with it. Good win for Fundora, takes nothing away from Tim. Yeah, because I mean, it wasn't exactly again, there's extenuating circumstances involved here, and it's not like Fundora beat him up or schooled him. It just seemed that after the cut, he was just being more active than tszyu and was a little bit ahead with the activity. Certainly no shame in that, and as you can see, Fundora didn't have it easy. He got beat up in there too a little bit. So tszyu remains a formidable fighter, but it's just that now with that loss in today's era, people love to harp on the losses. So I don't think it's going to affect him. I think he's going to be back as soon as possible, or as soon as he can get that cut under control. And he'll be back within in no time, fighting 3-4 times a year again. But it's just, I mean, hey, I'm pretty sure it's not the result he expected this Saturday. Handflow Boxing Review says Fundora needs to drink a protein shake and move up in weight. He's too weight drained to generate serious power. You know what? That could be. There could be something to that. You never know. You never know. I do wonder too. The same thing with Isaac Cruz. He was packing quite a punch. I mean, we know he can crack, but you compare his last fight against Cabron Cabrera, how he looked listless. He was hitting this dude flush on the chin, and he wasn't going anywhere. And now he fights a big dude in Romero, of course, with porous defense, and one of the most overrated guys out there, Romero. But nevertheless, a strong fella, and man, Isaac Cruz abused him. That was downright abuse in there. That was a beat down, throw down, just shellacking. Real Talk Boxing says, let's hope Crawford gets smart this time and doesn't bow to the PBC. Well, you know what? There's something to be said about that, because like I was on Twitter again. Like I said, I was reading Twitter, and some people were saying, well, hey, Errol Spence does deserve a shot at Fundora. Fuck Terence Crawford. Errol Spence deserves it. And some people are saying, yeah, but Errol Spence is coming off a loss. And then the counter argument from the Errol Spence fans was, yeah, but Fundora lost too, and he got a shot at tszyu. Yeah, but of course they leave out the part that he was a late replacement. It was an emergency. It was a completely different situation. Why should Errol Spence get a shot at Fundora? But again, this goes hand in hand with what some people were saying about the PBC, that they might have orchestrated this little snatch away that they did to Tim tszyu, making him think he was going to fight Thurman, and then whoops, all of a sudden we put you in there with a completely different guy, and who also at this stage in his career is tougher than an old balding Keith Thurman, and inactive, by the way. But yeah, and then I went on Boxing 24, which is essentially a blog. And I didn't read the article yet because, again, it was all before the show. And one of the headlines was, Terence Crawford, karma comes back to bite him in the ass, or something like that. So I'm really curious to hear why they're blaming him for this inactivity. And maybe there is some blame, of course, maybe there is. But as it pertains to the Errol Spence rematch, they're the ones that dicked him around. He contractually, because again, Errol Spence fans are saying, oh, well, it's Crawford's fault that he's now in the back seat or on the bench, not getting a fight, because he could have fought Errol Spence at 154, but he didn't want to. He wanted to keep it 147. Well, may I say that contractually he got to decide which division the rematch got placed in. There was never any. There were some preliminary mentions of when a rematch could take place, when Errol Spence was going to return. 2 months after the fight, 2 months after the Crawford-Spence fight, yeah, there were some murmurings, some mumbling going on about when a rematch could take place. And then after that, we didn't hear jack squat. Radio silence. It seems to me like they were dicking Terence Crawford around. Now, some people are saying, hey, that serves Crawford right. Yeah, look, Crawford's no saint. He's a bit of a jackass too. Some of the demands he made with Top Rank, and then that disgusting lawsuit that he tried to enact against Top Rank, and then calling them racist on top of that. I mean, that was a straw that broke the camel's back. But the PBC screwed him around here, it seems. They made him waste 6 months of his boxing career, especially at his age. So there's something to be said about that, man. But yeah, but I don't know why Errol Spence would deserve a title shot against Fundora. And like I said earlier, where does Errol Spence stand in all of this? How's he doing? I don't know. Maybe we'll see him in his next fight and he just gets completely beat down by Fundora, and then we never hear from him again. I could see that happening. Shout out to Don Chile Relleno for his contribution with the Super Chat. Shout out to Don Chile, who says, brings me extreme joy to see that retard get embarrassed by Cruz, and tszyu deserves a rematch. Well, shout out to you, Don Chile. And yeah, man, Rolly did he talked a lot of smack, as expected, as is his custom. And this is something that I've said for the past 4 years now, that trash talking is like an investment, like any other investment. If you put enough into it and you come away with the result that you wanted, it makes you look good. It makes you look like a guy that talks the talk and walks the walk. But if you don't, it's going to come back on you, and people are going to make fun of you. People are going to make those videos, when trash talking goes wrong, blah, blah, blah. And you could tell, man, that people were booing him. So when people they were booing him heavy. So when people say, oh, this dude's acting like a jackass because he wants to do the Mayweather playbook of playing the bad guy so that people pay to watch him lose. First of all, again, I still contend, I never saw that really work with Mayweather. I think a lot of it was the hype around Mayweather, the fact that he was undefeated, after the De La Hoya fight, he got some clout. I never heard anybody say, I'm going to pay to watch him lose. I want to see him lose, so I'm going to pay to watch his fights. Especially when he was fighting Robert Guerrero, Victor Ortiz, guys that you knew had very little chance to beat him. So I never understood that. And you can see what happens here with Romero. He's no star. And then on top of that, when he loses, people keep booing him. So this whole idea that if you play the bad guy, you're somehow raises your profile and makes you into a star or improves your box office appeal is something that a lot of people repeat often, but I've yet to see any real evidence that works. Shout out to Errol Stevens for his contribution. He says, Fundora finally kept his chin down and used his range. I saw him connecting on tszyu all night, clearly won. He's a handful for anybody. I don't know if he necessarily won. Again, I'd have to rewatch the fight. I wasn't scoring the fight. I'm just going by what my eyes, tell me. But to your last point, that he's a handful for anybody, that I agree with. Because he does, think about it. Who's had an easy time with him? Nobody. Even when he looks bad against Sergio Garcia, for example, or Ocampo, not bad, but unimpressive, he still wins the fight handedly. And against Mendoza, he was actually beating Mendoza up in there. He had Mendoza all bloodied up. And then that one punch came along, and that's it. So, but yeah, you're right, my Fundora he's not an easy time for anybody. But it's just that when you get knocked out, immediately people write you off. And that's what some people were writing him off. I wasn't really sure what was going to happen. I had tszyu winning. That's what I predicted. But I was curious to see how he was going to do against a style that he'd never seen before. But then again, that elbow and that cut, it does appear to have played a big factor in the fight. Alan R says Fundora won by elbows. I mean, but that's the other thing though. I got the NSAC rulebook here, and I'm trying to find the actual ruling here for a cut. But I did a Control F and then cut, but cuts all over the place. So I have to actually sit down and if anybody can maybe help me out here and look that up. Fouls, disqualification, withholding of purse, fouls, intentional. Okay, fouls, accidental. It says if a contest or exhibition is stopped because of an accidental foul, the referee shall determine. Okay, we know that. If the referee determines that the contest or exhibition may not continue because of an injury suffered as a result of an accidental foul, the contest or exhibition must be declared a no decision if the foul occurs during the first 3 rounds, of course, the first 4 rounds of a contest that is scheduled for more than 6 rounds, if an accidental foul renders an unarmed combatant unable to continue the contest or exhibition after the completed 3rd round, the completed 4th round, if an injury inflicted by an accidental foul later becomes aggravated by fair blows, and the referee orders a contest or exhibition stop because of the injury, the outcome must be determined by scoring the completed rounds. Okay, we know that. So, okay, but that's the first part, because I know I'm reading it quickly, so let's go back and read it. It says, if an injury inflicted by an accidental foul later becomes aggravated by fair blows, which appears, it doesn't seem like tszyu's injury worsened, but it was bad since the beginning, and it was bad all the way through the fight, and it impeded and occulted his eyesight. So why didn't the doctor decide to stop the fight? That's what I don't get. The referee shall determine whether a contest or exhibition should be stopped because of an injury to an unarmed combatant. In making such a determination, the referee may consult with a ringside physician. A determination to stop contest or exhibition. Okay, no, that's about whether the fight's one-sided or whether. Well, it says if the unarmed combatant at any stage is in such a condition to continue might subject the unharmed combatant to serious injury. So at which point do they say, hey, maybe this cut on the forehead is going to worsen? I don't know, man. I don't know. Yeah, that's why I want to get Jimmy on here and other people to see if we can figure it out. But I guess it's Easter Sunday and everybody's maybe a little busy here. Also, there's some fights going on, people told me, in England. But I don't know. So, okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue covering some of the results here, and then I'm going to open up the phone lines, get you guys to call in Alan R says tszyu should wear a helmet in the rematch. Well, listen, it happened, And again, Team tszyu didn't complain. So, like his father was one of the guys who never made an excuse. I guess he's got to live with it now, man. Would I have? Now, this is where I give you my subjective, my opinion. Would I have stopped the fight? Would I have stopped the fight? Yeah. If I would have his trainer, forget if I would have been Team tszyu. If I would have been his trainer, I would have said, listen. As soon as I saw that the fight is turning because of the cut, I would have said, well, it's the cut that's causing this. Let's tell the ref and the doctor we can't see. I think that would have been prudent because it was impeding him from seeing. And then again, I'm no doctor, I'm no physician. I don't know if that cut's going to worsen it, maybe even create some long-term damage that's going to keep Team tszyu out of the ring for longer than expected. So I think those 2 points there, based on those 2 points, I would have done something. But again, you got to commend Team tszyu for going the other way. I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say about this once we open up the phone lines. Black Cat 997 says, was this... Hold on a second. Let me put it up here. Shout out to Black Cat 997 for his contribution with the super chat. He says, was it an accidental foul? It looked like tszyu initiated the contact with his head. You know what? I don't know. Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know what the rules state. If you initiate contact, meaning you step forward and there's a clash of heads, it doesn't matter if you step forward first or if the other guy did, it's still an accidental clash of heads. So in this scenario, whether he's the one that initiated the contact or not, the fact that the cut was caused by anything other than the fist is what makes it a foul, I believe. Again, as you could see, the rules are murky, but if that applies to the head, then it should apply for the elbow as well. So now Team tszyu, again, don't expect Team tszyu to get a rematch. Don't expect Fundora to stay at 154. If the PBC gets its way and they put Spence in there with Fundora, it's probably going to be at some sort of 160, maybe even a catch with a 163 or something. Make life easier for Errol Spence. And then, of course, his fans are going to go with that and they're going to say, you see, he couldn't make the weight at 147. That's why he lost to Crawford, because he was wagering. In fact, that's what I keep hearing, that he was wagering. But then again, I put this on video too. I've got the evidence of Errol Spence fans saying Errol Spence looks so strong at 147. My God, he looks strong at 147. Gee. And then he loses, and now all of a sudden he's wagering. By the way, Fundora fights Errol Spence's game, inside fighting, and there ain't no way Spence outboxes him from the outside. So this could be bad news for Errol Spence. This might be the end of his career. That fight. Double L, shout out to Double L, says tszyu Cudman sucked. Just had tiny Q-tip and Vaseline. Yeah, usually don't they use adrenaline to stop the cut, or is that just for the nose? I know that they're allowed to use chemicals, right? To stop certain chemicals to use stop the cuts. This dude was just rubbing Vaseline and using a Q-tip there to absorb the blood. That the Vaseline did nothing to quell the cut and the dripping. I mean, he was you guys all know this. You don't have to be a physician to know this. There's lots of little veins there on the forehead, top of the head. Just a slight little cut, and boom, the blood's gonna gush. That's why the wrestlers do it. They cut themselves just a little bit, and then the blood just gushes into Crimson River, and it makes it looks worse than what it actually is. But in this scenario, it's not about the length of the cut, which was substantial, by the way, but also the fact that it was impeding his vision. That's what makes me... I don't know. I would have been trepidatious going into that fight, continuing that fight with that cut. But again, that's what they did. That's what they... that's the result they went with, and now they got to live with it. Now, of course, on that undercard, we also had Pitbull Cruz. Like I said, just absolutely manhandling Romero. I expected a similar result, but I also expected it to be a bit more competitive early on, which it wasn't. From the get-go, Cruz ended up stunning, badly wobbling Romero. The fight just kept going one-sided. At some point, Romero his main form of defense was running around the ring and clinching. I'd never seen Romero, because he's a strong dude, despite what you might say about his lack of technique, and there's certainly a lot of holes in his technique, but he's a strong guy. He's got a certain relative level of speed and explosiveness, and a lot of strength too. He's a very strong guy. Not against Cruz, he wasn't. Cruz was just throwing him around like a ragdoll with his hooks. And he actually made Romero fight in the ass style. The American slick style. A lot of running, a lot of clinching. And obviously when I say that, I always have to remind people, when I say the ass style, I'm not saying that's the American style. I'm saying that's the bad version of the American style of boxing. Because, people say Mexican style is just brawling. So, the ass style, it's the equivalent of that. But just from the gringo side. But I'm trying to look at, what round was it that the fight ended in? He doesn't say here. What was it? The 8th or 9th, I believe, or 7th? It says Royal Saturday Night, 8th round. Yeah, 8th round technical stoppage. You got to give Romero, well, if you want to, by the way, you don't have to, but the fact that he took the punishment and he never went down, even in the final stand, before the referee stopped it, it looked as if he was about to go down. And guess what, fellas? I wanted the fight to continue. And I know it seems bizarre because some of you might be saying, yeah, but BDA, you said that you would have stopped the tszyu fight because of the danger to the cut and in order to prevent him from incurring a loss. Yeah, that's if I'm a trainer. As a spectator, I wanted, Romero ain't down yet. I want to see him touch the canvas. He did a lot of talking. He still appeared somewhat confrontational after the fight when Caleb Plant's wife was interviewing him. He still had a little bit of moxie in him. Hey, you still got a little moxie. I want to see all that shit drained if you still got it. I want to see you hit the floor. But then again, that's not what happened. But Isaac Cruz at 140, he's not a real champion, by the way. Because I'm sorry, I mean, he fought a great fight, but Rolly Romero wasn't a champ either. The real champ in this division is Teofimo Lopez. He's the undisputed because there is no dispute about who the man is in that division. Everyone else can have a little title. You can, if you want to say, well, he's not undisputed in the full Belterra, okay, that means nothing to me. I lived before the full Belterra. To me, that the WBO means nothing. It's just a little thing that people love to, they love to pleasure themselves to that notion. But be that as it may, Isaac Cruz, I believe he said that this was just a bit of a pit stop at 140. I think he's going to go back to 135. Hopefully he does, because he might be a little bit too small for some of these other guys at 140. Maybe a little bit too quick. They might be able to keep him off him. But then again, you never know. He did look strong, very strong. And Rolly Romero, well, listen, this is about the 3rd time he's lost. He should have lost against Jackson Marinas. And you saw what happened with Marinas. He got subbed by Richard Comey and Frank Martin. So that shows us where he's at in terms of class. And of course, that officially he didn't lose that fight, but he should have. Then he lost to Tank Davis, and now he's lost to Isaac Cruz. And that Tank Davis fight, though, this also makes Tank Davis look bad. Because I'm telling you, there's a little bit of Deontay Wilder in Tank Davis. Obviously, he's much better technically than Deontay Wilder, but at this point, he's over-relying on just running around the ring, waiting to run guys into one shot. He did that against Romero. He did that against Ryan Garcia, whom he weight drained, and also catch weight. He did the same thing to Barrios, although in that one, that was a rare fight where he was, Mayweather was pleading with him after the 10th round. Listen, I don't know if you're winning this fight. You got to go get him. And so he finally did go get him. And then, of course, Barrios, subsequently, we learned he was also weight drained as well. Now, let's be fair. He wasn't weight drained, but there was a rehydration clause there. And that rehydration clause there, it's not there for fun, just for shits and giggles. It's there to, keep a guy a little bit dehydrated there. So I think I am well within the bounds of being able to say that, yeah, the guy was a little bit weight drained, probably. Certainly didn't look weight drained at 147 when he took a lot of big shots from Keith Thurman and never went anywhere. Maybe if Keith Thurman would have implemented some sort of a catch weight of the rehydration, we might have seen a different result. Be that as it may, Romero just, too much talking from his end. And people are saying in the chat, yeah, the Caleb Plant's wife got a little bit argumentative with him, which I can understand because, he said, hey, he corrected her about something that she didn't say, so she had to correct him, which I understand in the moment. That's the natural inclination, but she should have really just stuck to the interview. Then we're going to talk about that too. Mark Kriegel lecturing Liam Wilson. You should have fought smarter. Yeah, fight smarter next time. Who the fuck are you? And then Mark Kriegel goes back to the booth there with the other commentators. You know, they're giving their post-fight comments. And he starts getting choked up about family and whatever. You know what it looks like to me? And again, I'm saying it looks like. I'm not saying that he was. It looked like he was drunk or something. It looked like he was a little bit hammered. Either that or maybe he did a couple of lines prior to that. I don't know. But it was certainly bizarre to see 2 nights in a row these commentators acting in a rather unprofessional manner. Speaking of unprofessional, okay, by the way, Errol Lara, by the way, beat up the male stripper in 2 rounds, under 2 rounds, knocked him out. And some people are saying, that Lara is back or something. Look, Lara has always cracked harder than people give him credit for, which is why a lot of people have criticized him. Because for a guy that can crack, he chooses to just run around the ring, shaking his ass, salsa cubana, and just, just waiting for the other guy to run into something, kind of like Gervonta Davis does. But at least Lara has an excuse. He's Cuban, which that's how they used to fight, more or less, and that he's an old fuck now. Excuse my language. My goodness gracious. 2 Hail Mary or whatever. And, he has an excuse, but he can always he could always crack. Even Canelo, he got Canelo's attention with some of those hard left hands. But he chooses to run around the ring because he's not wired for that. But the fact that he's in his 40s and he's still beating up young. Then again, to be fair, both guys were coming off long layoffs. They hadn't fought in over 2 years, I believe. So, I mean, it's I guess they were both compromised a little bit. But shout out to Errol Lara. Mendoza lost to that Ukrainian guy, by the way. That Ukrainian guy, I forget his name. I'm going to try to butcher it, but he's the guy that lost to Brandon Adams a couple of years ago. He got beat up, apparently, Mendoza. I didn't see the fight, but I saw some of the photos that people were posting on the Discord at the time. And yeah, he looked a little beat up there. So Mendoza, so again, this whole rectangle theory, not triangle, rectangle theory, it got scrapped yesterday because Fundora lost to Mendoza, tszyu beat Mendoza, but then Mendoza shows us that he's really not that good, even though he was on a bit of a run prior to the tszyu fight with wins over Fundora and Jason Rosario. And then you got Ramos too, Jesus Ramos in there, who hasn't fought since September. Neither has Lubin. So this whole division is a little bit too screwed up for my taste. One guy loses here, one guy loses there. We need, I never thought I'd say this, fellas. We need Jermell Charlo back. He's the only one who can come back and show us what's what. Because he was beating guys up left and right. He had a loss too, by the way, against Tony Harrison, but he avenged it. So he needs to come back and really settle matters, wrap things up here, because I don't like it. I got a little bit of OCD here, fellas. I don't like things that are left untouched, unwrapped, unfinished. Not my cup of tea, let me tell you. Speaking of cup of teas, one of my cup of teas is talking to you guys. The phone lines are open. Make sure to call in. Let me put the number right there in the left-hand middle portion of your screen. There we go. Where else? Let's put up the number here as well. Hold on a second. Where's the phone number? Open phone lines, yeah. There we go. There's the number right there. There's a number. Hopefully you guys get to call in and give us your thoughts on all the fights that took place this past weekend. Now, of course, before that, hold on a second. Direct connect. I'm opening up the phone lines now, fellas. Give me 2 seconds here. Okay, so that's what happened there. Oh, and then Oscar Valdez getting himself a win.
Welcome to Blog
against
Talk
Liam
Radio.
Wilson. Against Liam Wilson. By the way, that fight, I picked Liam Wilson to win that fight. And it looked like he was on his way to do it, just like tszyu. And then he started fighting Valdez on the inside, and that was all she wrote. A horrible plan from Liam Wilson. He admitted himself too much heart. Now, I was thinking too, well, maybe it was Valdez who made him fight that way. Maybe he hit him with a body shot or something, took away his legs. I don't know. But it certainly appeared like as if Wilson could have continued fighting from the outside because he was doing that. He was the one pressing Valdez. So it's not like he was hurt or had, like I said, I was thinking about the possibility that maybe he'd been hurt to the body and couldn't move anymore. But that's not the case because he was chasing Valdez around. So I don't know, man.
Radio webpage.
To start your show now, press 1. To hear important instructions.
Since it appears you're calling back into a
I don't understand what's going on
we
here.
are reconnecting
press
you
1.
now.
All right, something's going on here with the phone lines here, fellas. Real quick. I'm pressing 1 and it's not... what are people in the chat saying? Kyle says Shakur and De Los Santos 2 should not be allowed to take place. Wait, is that being talked about? Because I thought Shakur Stevenson...
Since it appears you're calling back into a live show, we are reconnecting you now.
Yeah, I thought Shakur Stevenson was going to fight the Armenian guy that he gave Frank Martin all he could handle in his prior fight. Which, by the way, that fight, I think Shakur Stevenson can stop that dude. Because when Frank Martin decided to press him, the Armenian guy, he was hurting him. And I think Shakur Stevenson hits harder than even though he's got bad technique when he turns over his shots, that's why he always injures his hands. I think he has the firepower to stop the guy if he presses him. But I don't know if that's how he's going to fight him. So, because you never know with Shakur Stevenson anymore. But it's a winnable fight, and it's a fight that he can look good in if he chooses to. And that to redeem himself from the horrible performance that he mailed in a couple of months ago. Shout out to I Am Your Leader for his re-upping his membership program. Shout out to I Am Your Leader who says, Happy Easter, Christ has died, Christ is risen, Christ will come again. Absolutely. Listen, might be coming faster than expected with the whole red heifer thing going on in Israel. I don't know how that's going to look. I'm a little bit worried about that myself. But shout out to I'm Your Leader, and I wholly concur. I know, listen, this isn't a religious channel, but I mean, there's, amongst people that dabble in this type of thing, we just give each other a shout out. But this channel is for everybody, Hindu, Shinto, Buddhist, whatever, Muslim, whatever. Jewish, of course. I know some people are going to say, wait, what? It is what it is. It is a boxing channel. You want to talk religion, we'll go to the Second Renaissance. More about this. All right, listen, fellas, enough prevarication. I see we got people here waiting in the phone lines. Let's go to the aforementioned phone lines right here. Start cooking. Hold on a second. Let me make sure the volume is up so you guys can hear the call. Let's go to 210. 210, you're in the air. 210, what's on your mind?
Yo, what's up? It's Southpaw. How's it going, BDA?
Oh, Southpaw, what's up, man?
Yeah, how much you're here chilling, man. It was a good weekend of fight. I like Oscar Valdez. Like, he's always been one of my favorites. I seen him when he was down in Texas as a prospect. Real cool guy. And these are the guys we got to up, man. He's not on social media. He's not being a diva. He's not demanding things. And whoever Top Rank tells him to fight, he fights. You know what I mean? He gives it at all his every time. So it was great seeing him get a win, man. Like, he really deserves it. Real happy for the guy. But now he has a target on his back, you know what I mean? Because he's a commodity in Arizona now. So these other guys don't really have a fan base yet, so they're going to be after him. And he's vulnerable, so they see it as a fight that they can maybe capture that audience and take that belt. So he's going to get paydays. I'm happy for him. I think he's going to be the underdog with some of these guys coming up. But I'm always rooting for the guy win, lose, or draw. Man, we got to give props to guys like that. Man, thank God for guys like Oscar Valdez, because you talk about the divas in boxing and mostly Americans, man. They just stink up the sport. But last night was good, man. I went and saw it. It was mostly like a pro-Mexican place here, where I'm at in Texas, and they enjoyed it, man. Can you imagine if they would have had this for free? This would have been a great kickoff for Amazon and for PBC. But I think, unfortunately, because they put it on pay-per-view, a lot of people didn't get to see it. So, out of sight, out of mind. The Rolly thing was funny to watch, man. What do you think, man? This is what I think. I want to run an idea by you. Say, like, if PBC's listening, wouldn't it be a good idea to have Pitbull and Benavidez on the same card, kind of the same way that Triple G and Chocolatito were when they were building up their brand? They were a duo. Wouldn't that work?
Yeah, that would work. Like, wait, are you saying pay-per-view or just on any old telecast?
Well, I mean, they're going to put it on pay-per-view. I mean, in a perfect world, yeah, just put it on regular Showtime. But it was cool because when Chocolatito and Triple G were together, they were on the cards all the time, as main and co-main. It worked, man. I mean, people love that. So I think that should be something that PBC should explore instead of, like, Benavidez being on the undercard of Tank. Because that, you have two separate fan bases where, you have the Hispanics and, Tank has more of the urban community. So it's just two different things. But I think that'll work, man. I mean, it was a good card, man. I just don't I just don't trust PBC, man, because they always fumble, you know.
Yeah, the in terms of having Pitbull, Cruz, and Benavidez, like if you're a promoter, matchmaker, whatever, you always want to have guys that you know are going to bring the entertainment. Like in the Zone, they had Alexis Rocha fighting. That guy always brings it. So if you want to entertain the people, and especially the people who are watching the fight live, you bring a guy like that in. So yeah, man, that Benavidez versus Cruz, you're guaranteed fireworks, or at least a guy trying to create fireworks. In terms of pay-per-view, I don't know if that would really help, because neither guy, at this point in boxing, it's a niche sport and most people don't know who these guys are. But in terms of box office at the gate, people, yeah, you put that in Texas, like you said, where you're at, or maybe Arizona, New Mexico, people are familiar with those two guys. I think they could do a decent gate if they work it properly. But then again, it's a PBC. I don't know if that's the way they're going to do it.
Yeah, Texas, California, Arizona, you know what I mean? But, I mean, we'll see, right? But we'll see if they can get their shit together, which they probably won't. But the one more thing I wanted to cover was, man, I'm already seeing the fuckery, man. I really feel bad for Tim. I think the cut really cost him the fight. You know, it could have gone either way, but I think that really affected him when the way he was fighting. It was all in his eyeballs, you know. Yeah, I think it affected his vision a lot. So, and we saw the writing on the wall, man. So, like, PBC has an opportunity to take his belt, because he's not a PBC fighter. You know, you got to remember to point that out to fans on the show, throughout the show. He's not a PBC fighter. So now they're in a position where they can set up their favorite child in Errol Spence and give him a shot at that fight, and jump Bud Crawford and screw Bud Crawford over again, because it should be Bud next. But we already see them lining up, and we already see Spence, you know, in the ring with Fundora, and that's within the PBC, so you know that's the fight they're going to go for. He's already talking about it's going to happen in Texas. So it sounds like it was like a foregone conclusion. So I think, again, Bud is going to get screwed, and that Spence fight really cost him a lot. I mean, think about it. They froze him out for 5 years, and then they froze him out for another year, bullshitting where they're, oh, yeah, I'm going to take the rematch clause, and then, oh, no, you know what, I'm not going to take the rematch clause, and now he's out floating on an island by himself again, now with no promoter, you know what I mean? So, but they're really, I mean, Bud's going to get hosed, man. I hope it doesn't happen, but it's looking that way. So you can see the fuckery, man. The PPC is going to line up Spence, and we'll see, man, and they're going to probably line up Isaac Cruz with the rematch. But like you said, the Deontay Wilder thing kicking in with him, like how good is this guy really? And what I think is the Spence factor, where everything's going to start catching up to Tank, because he's old for that weight, and he's got the bad habits, and he gets hit a lot. And I think a lot of it could catch up with a guy like Cruz. And I think the PBC would make more money off of Cruz, to be honest. You know, the Mexican market is the money market. Yeah. But that's all I got to say, man. I'm going to enjoy the show. We'll see, man. I mean, PBC is like a cockroach, man. They're not going to die, bro. they're going to fucking. They're going to pop up, dude. You know, I like some of their guys. We'll see.
Well, I mean, the fights were good, but it's just that the way they present them on pay-per-view, that's one of the main problems right there. Well, anyway,
nobody thought.
Exactly.
All right, guys.
All right, thank you, man. Thank you. Take it easy out there. All right, that was Southpaw Lefty there calling in. Let's go to another phone call. Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit that like. It really helps us out. Let's go to another phone call. Let's go to 713. 713, you're in the air. 713, what's on your mind?
Yeah, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, 713. What's up?
Hello? Oh, yeah, man. It was a pretty good weekend of boxing. I liked Valdez's performance, but I believe he's pretty much on his way out. You know, I mean, he pleases the fans. He doesn't does no one. And as far as Pitbull Cruz fight, I saw a big turnaround for him at the place where I went to see it. So PBC should not promote him, but be involved with them more, because they're not promoters. So develop another Mexican star. And as far as Fundora, I could tell he's fighting a guy, but he knows he has a long reach now. He started to change out his the way he fights, not to be in the pocket too much, because he could get hurt. I didn't get to see the Pseudo Ramirez. I just saw the highlights. It looks pretty good, even though he's fighting a weight above, a couple of weights above his best weight. I believe this is his best weight, though. It's not like he's trying to put the B-Ball fight behind him. And I'm glad for your show, man. Take it easy, and thanks. Bye.
Thank you, man. Thank you for your call, man. Take it easy out there. Call back next time. Yeah, man. I mean, it's interesting that he said that there was a strong turnaround or turnout, rather. Excuse me, for that Fundora fight. That's a guy that seems to have a reasonable ties to the community, and maybe people would. It reminds me a little bit like Juan Diaz. That was another dude that whenever he fought in Houston, Texas, because he was a sort of an affable personality and character, and so people, and of course he was entertaining, even though he couldn't crack, but he just threw 1,000 punches per fight, and it's with that whirlwind approach really appealed to people. Maybe Fundora can attract a similar fan base. Hey fellas, don't forget to call in. The phone number is right there in the left-hand middle portion of your screen. Don't forget to call in. Really helps us out. In regards to the Valdez fight, Valdez, man, he's an incomplete fighter. He's a flawed fighter. Relies too much on those hooks that he tends to spam. You could see it worked out for him on Friday. That's always been the problem, that there's going to be fights where it doesn't work out. Didn't work out against Stevenson. Didn't work out against Navarrete. Almost didn't work out against Marliaga and Genesis Cervania. Then the first Adam Lopez fight, he got dropped, and the stoppage, he got the stoppage, but it was very flimsy. That's why they did it again later on. So he must change his approach a little bit, vary the attack, and go to the body a little bit more, because even at the end there, he had the guy hurt. He's spamming left hooks upstairs, hook upstairs, hook upstairs, hook upstairs, and you're like, okay, go to the body at this point, man. What's going on? And then he admits that he got hurt to the body. And he's like, okay, if somebody hurts me to the body, I'm going right back to the body. Give them a taste of their own medicine. But I don't know. I know it's easy to say when you're not the one fighting, but come on, take a look at a guy like Maidana, who hit hard, and he would just hit whatever he could find. That's the approach you gotta have, and it's a mental thing. Some people don't have the mentality for that. Let's go to a phone call here. Let's go to 510. 510, you're in the air. 510, what's on your mind?
Hey, what's up, pussy? I just wanted to correct myself beforehand. I think I gave you too much credit when it comes to, your objective, I don't know what you want to call it. You call yourself BDA for a reason, I guess, but I don't see that. But I just want to say that. I just want to retract my statement. I gave you too much credit. But on to the fight. I enjoyed the Isaac Cruz fight. And your stupidity and all the bullshit that you were talking about earlier. I forgot to mention, I wanted Isaac Cruz to win. He beat the dog shit out of Rolly. Rolly's, he's a subpar talent. I don't think he'll get anywhere in his career. He'll just be like a PBC goon, a PBC pawn. He's just going to be told what to do, and he's going to do that. He's not looking to be great like a lot of these guys are. He's not looking to even make more money. He just satisfies in what position he's at. But other than that, great fight by Cruz. I like the fact that he was just, tagging him with hooks. I think ultimately, though, the problem, like with Cruz, the only issue I would have with him, obviously, I enjoy watching him fight. I enjoy his style. I think he's getting too close to the PBC people, so they're just kind of like honeydicking him, They're just telling him, like, hey, be with us or whatever. They're basically, obviously, you spoke about the setup before. I think they're just trying to set him up for a fight with, like, either, possibly with Ryan, but if anything with Tank. And then, have those fucking Fruit Loops fight for whatever. And that just kind of sucks because, if he was like, if he had anybody else in his ear, it'd be better for somebody to advise him, like, hey, get the fuck out of, don't make business with these guys, man. They're going to fuck you over in the long run. So, other than that, though, great performance. And yeah, and I was a bit obviously upset with the tszyu versus Fundora. I think, tszyu did enough. It wasn't necessarily the best version of tszyu, but for sure the cut obviously implemented like a lot of things, or implicated his performance. So that kind of sucked. But, I mean, hopefully he doesn't get too right into him either. I mean, I really don't see where he goes on with his career. I think the problem, if anything, is just like how. Because if he fights, like, let's say both the Charlos, I mean, I don't think none of those fucking guys deserve the fight. Even with the rematch, obviously the rematch with Fundora makes sense. But then, even then, I think just the way he was, he doesn't complain. So I feel like, at the end of the day, he's just gonna stay with them and fight with them, which is kind of a sad thing. to see. But it is what it is. I mean, hopefully he bounces back. I like Tszyu. If anything, his attitude, you know, I appreciate that. How he carries himself like that. And lastly, Zurdo Ramirez. I mean, whatever, man. He was fighting he's garbage. I really don't care if he is, you know, if he made history. He's a cruiserweight bum, I think, in my opinion. There's not a lot of people out there in the cruiserweight division that are extremely talented. So I guess for what it's worth, you know, it's great. I think it was overall a good night for Mexican boxing, but it doesn't really mean shit at the end of the day. So I think that's where I'm at with them. At least to me, I really don't care about him at all. Even he looked exactly the same. If you paid attention to his skill set is like relatively the same. You know, at least with Fundora, you saw obviously some adaptations, but I don't like that guy either. I think Fundora, I don't know, man. He's not appealing to me. So fuck him. But
it's
that's about it.
The Zurdo Ramirez. He's sort of like it's every round. It's mundane. He's not gonna knock the guy, especially not the guys out of this weight division. He's not gonna knock him out. So he's just boxing. He's outworking them, but it's very uneventful. But anyway, listen. I hear the cars there in the background circling. They want you to suck their dick. I know you got to get back to work, so I'm gonna let you go there, Booty Juice, and thank you for your call. And call back next time, right, man? Take it easy out there.
Nobody wants to suck their.
There we go. That was Booty Juice right there. It's interesting how I stay quiet when he insults me. Then as soon as I insult him a little bit, just a little bit, he has to, start screaming. He's going to call back, by the way. So we're going to get into round two, I bet. All right, let's go to another phone call here. Hey, fellas, don't forget to hit the like. It really helps us out, right? Especially on this Eastern Sunday. I think you should hit it twice. I don't know, just my opinion. All right, let's go to another phone call here. Let's go to 323. 323, you're on the air. 323, what's on your mind?
I am fucking disgusted with last night. How could two motherfuckers coming off a knockout loss be up for fucking world title? Not one world title, but multiple world titles. Fuck this shit, dude. This is the kind of shit that makes me want to abandon this fucking sport. I cannot fucking believe they didn't stop that fight in the fourth round after that cut. I cannot believe... It's fucking grotesque when Errol Spence comes in there, waltzing in there like he's something, like he means anything, and this motherfucker won't say outright, yeah, he deserves a rematch. That shit was fucked up. I mean, fucking, where else does this happen? Two guys coming out a knockout loss. One guy's inactive for a year now, and the other motherfucker got sparked, and now he's got two world titles. How does this fucking make any sense? This makes no fucking logical sense at all. I fucking can't stand this shit. I'm so pissed off with this sport right now, dude. This is be nice. It's fucking disgusting.
I understand you're upset, but come on, it's Easter Sunday. Let's watch the salty language here a little bit, just a little bit.
Oh, fuck that shit, man! These guys got a shit egg right now. This is we all got a shit fucking egg for Easter. Thanks a lot, you fucking PVC motherfuckers.
Let me ask you first of all.
Terrible, dude. How do you have Errol Spence coming in there like what the fuck, dude? Errol Spence, you ain't shit, dude. You haven't fought in a fucking year. You haven't even, now they're gonna let you fight for multiple world titles? What fucking planet are we living in? This is fucked up, dude. And is Tim Tszyu gonna get a multiple title shot after his loss? Are they gonna offer that to him? I don't fucking think so.
Right. Well, let me ask you this. First of all, let me ask you two things, Zoma Madrassos. I understand you're upset. Did you pay for this card?
Of course I did.
Okay. Now, that second question then. Are you one of the people that believe that they gave Tim Tszyu the old Guatemalan snatch away? By telling him he was going to face...
You know what?
Yeah.
You know what? I'm kind of leaning towards that a little bit, but not too much, because I know Tim Tszyu's a better fighter than Fundora. And in the first, I don't know, before the cut, he was able to close the distance pretty fast, and in the exchanges inside, Fundora didn't really have many answers for him. I kind of think that because I saw him fight from the outside a lot more, I kind of think now that they probably were grooming him to fight this guy all along, because he just rapidly, all of a sudden, he changed his fighting style, went from inside to pawing away with the jab, and that's all he was doing all night. He wasn't snapping his head back. He had moments of success when Tim Tszyu couldn't see, but Tim Tszyu was landing the more authoritative punches but there were just not enough. The guy was. It's unfortunate what happened with the cut. I think I'm just more pissed off about these two losers getting a title shot, multiple title shots. That's what I'm upset about the most. Like, fuck, dude, doesn't that piss you off? Two fucking losers that didn't just get beat up they got fucking sparked out, and now they're going to be multiple title holders. Doesn't that shit fucking irritate you as a boxing fan? Doesn't that shit fucking make you want to just say fuck you to this whole sport?
It does, but it's just...
Anyway, that's all I got to say, man.
All right, man. But, shout out to you, Demolishes, man. Thank you for your call. And, I'm a little bit pissed off as well. But at the same time, it's almost like I know how to not get too worked up over it. Because, we should complain, but listen, the people that were claiming that this was already planned in some way, I have to assume it was, because they brought Errol Spence real quickly in there, man. Like they already
exactly.
Yeah.
That's why I was on the fence about that whole thing, and now I'm like, oh my god, this is like, can you make it more blatantly obvious that this is what you're doing? Not only did we get that, but we got this horseshit fight. The undercard. I was excited about the Rolly and Pitbull Cruz fight. I thought it was after he wobbled Rolly. I thought to myself, please don't knock him out yet. I just want to see him get his fucking ass beat for a couple more rounds. And I got my wish. The fight went on a little longer, and it was just plain to see how much planning they had for this guy to hold a belt. For some fucking reason, he should have lost to the Mummy. We all know that. And it just, and that guy too, coming off a fucking loss, getting a title shot, this is fucked up, dude. Like, we got a double whammy of this corruption and this horseshit.
Yeah,
I don't know,
right, man. Yeah, I was on the fence. I was on the fence too. I still am in some form about whether there was all a Guatemala snatch away. But now I'm starting to think that it was too many coincidences going around about this, and
too many, dude.
And the fact that they dicked around Crawford as well for 6 months. I mean, it's that's why when people go, oh, why do you criticize the PBC? Well, I'm sorry, but when they do stuff like this, I mean, what are you supposed to do?
Listen, everyone out there. This is why we criticize the PBC. This is why we criticize the sanctioning bodies, because they're allowing this shit to happen. People,
that's right.
You can't just shit on one fighter and then not shit on the other fighter, or let's just shit on Canelo, but then let's let the PBC just get away with whatever the fuck they want. You can't. You gotta call everyone out, and I call everyone out.
There you go.
It's hard being a boxing fan, man. It is really hard being a boxing fan. I wish we only had one title. I don't know, the Ring Magazine or the Lineal or something. Right, but these alphabet titles are just, it's making me a little, like, I've been watching boxing so long now. It's putrid, man. Anyway, that's all I got to say, man. This is fucking horrible.
Get yourself a cup of tea, chamomile tea. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, man. It's not worth getting worked up over.
That bottle of tequila from last night.
Well, that too. All right, take it easy, Demolishes. Thank you for your call, man. All right, that was Demolishes right there. Hey, don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like. It really helps us out. Hold on, let me see the super chance here. Shout out to John Seals again for his contribution with the super chat. He says, Bud just doesn't bring any money to the table. Now, see, that's the other problem, though, too, that Bud Crawford has, for a long time now, demanded and commanded paydays, big paydays. Remember during the pandemic, everyone else was taking pay cuts, and he stayed firm, put his foot down and said, no, you're going to pay me my quota, my minimum. So this is a guy that's evidently very focused on money, Crawford is. And let's not forget, too, I remember when this whole first round of negotiations was going on between Crawford and Spence in 2022. Well, maybe not the first round, but serious talks. One of the big problems was, and Steve Kim came on and said that, was that, look, neither Crawford nor Spence are box office giants. But they're demanding the type of money that usually goes to box office giants. And they don't bring that in. So the reason why the promoters were scrambling around, in part, not because, again, there was a lot of, what's the word I can use here? Trickery. from the PBC side in not making the fight. But one of the big problems, according to Steve Kim, was just precisely that. How are you going to make money off of this fight? With the amount that these guys are demanding, the fact that they are not box office stars, how do you do it? How do you work it out? And it's the same thing here with Crawford. He tasted that Errol Spence fight. He got some good money. Then he caught a whiff of a potential Canelo fight. That's more than 20 mil, probably about 20 mil or maybe more. So what does he do? Now that he's lost that, where's he going to go in terms of a payday? Jaron Ennis already said no before. Now he's saying yes, but again, how much money are you going to bring with that? tszyu just lost. And if he wanted to make more money or a bigger event, that has to take place in Australia. And at this point, Crawford doesn't strike me as the type of guy who would be willing to go to Australia, even though he did go to fight Scotland for his first title. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't see him doing that. And then you got, maybe Teofimo Lopez? But now Teofimo Lopez, after all the talking, apparently he rejected a Murataya fight, I think. I'm not sure. Apparently he rejected a Murataya fight. And then now he's taking on Steve Claggett, who's a journeyman, Canadian journeyman. He's a tough guy. Don't get me wrong. He brings it. Bring a lunchbox because you're going to work with this guy. But he doesn't strike me as any different from Pedro Campa, come forward fighter. Not the biggest puncher either. It's mostly activity and aggression and stamina that gets the job done for him. And when you get a guy like Teofimo Lopez, who's a counter puncher, he likes it when a guy like that comes to him. A guy that's not that big a puncher, not that active. Not that big a puncher, not the quickest guy. He's not going to be darting in and out like Ortiz. He's not a lengthy guy like Nakatani. So this might be something that's been set up to make Teofimo Lopez look good after the bad fight against Ortiz. And I know, listen, I'm not saying it was his fault. Of course, Ortiz was moving excessively. But what I'm saying is, for whatever reason, it wasn't a scintillating fight. So now he's got to come back and do that. Which is, incidentally, I think it's the same thing they're doing with Shakur Stevenson. I think that's why they're putting him in there with the Armenian guy, because they know, okay, the Armenian guy, he's a sharp guy, he's got good technique, but he can also be taken out. I mean, Frank Martin isn't the biggest puncher around, and he was able to hurt him twice in there, and even dropped him. So I think they're banking on Shakur Stevenson being able to do something similar, because Stevenson really needs, more than Lopez, he really needs to look, not impressive, but I mean, he needs to make people forget about what happened last October. Because at least Teofimo Lopez has performed well, giving some scintillating performances. Shakur Stevenson really hasn't. I mean, Jamel Herring, okay. Oscar Valdez, other than the low blows, it was a good performance. But then again, that was 2022. I hate to say it, but boxing fans have short memories. And I always say it, or I say it often rather. You're only as good as your last fight. It might be unfair. Boxers might think it's unfair, but it's a reality. There's a lot of boxing going on. Yeah, you can't really. You only remember the last great performance. What do we got here? People in the chat are saying, sometimes I have to agree with Julio, boxing is rigged and it sucks. Well, I mean, it wasn't so much rigged here as for tszyu-Fundora. It wasn't rigged as in, the result is set in place. But there were, the PBC, it appears, were moving a lot of pieces to try to ensure that Fundora got himself that win. Or that tszyu didn't walk away with a win, if you want to put it that way. I see Booty Juice is calling back. I told you he won in round 2. I don't even know if I should answer him, because he's just gonna want to fight again, and I'm in no mood, especially on the Easter Sunday, to be fighting. You know what I'm actually gonna be doing? I'm actually gonna extend the olive branch. Booty Juice, I know you're listening. I'm gonna answer. I'm gonna ask you to please don't start with the insults right away. I mean, if you want to, go ahead. But I'm just saying, I'm going to extend an olive branch here and see where everything went wrong. Because Booty Juice didn't used to be this way. Something happened along the way. And he started becoming very abrasive. And hey, maybe it was my fault. I don't know. We'll try to figure it out. Let's see. Okay, 510, you're in the air. Booty Juice, you're in the air. What's up?
Hey, I'm gonna keep being abrasive, because guess what? When I try to talk to you people rationally and reasonably, you didn't give a fuck about that at all. So guess what? It's the same old story over and over again. You bitches take my, the quote unquote, my kindness for weakness, then all right, motherfucker, then I don't give a fuck about you either, dude. Don't make it seem like you're over here and fucking Mr. High Horse over here just walking around. Oh, you know, you have the moral high ground. Like, nah, dude, you're talking shit, so I'm going to talk shit back to you. That's how that works. Ultimately, at the end of the day, you're the one being a little bitch about it. Why don't you change the channel's name to the Canelo Dick Sucking Arena? That's what the name should be, actually, honestly. And my best assessment. So that's all I got to say.
It's not as catchy. It's not as catchy. All right, well, listen. All right, if you don't want to, all right, if you don't want to,
catchy.
all right, hold on, Booties. When you talk, I let you talk, and then when I start talking, you start interrupting. Again, I don't know where things
went.
You don't. Booty Juice, come on, man.
Dude,
come on.
Because I'm gonna tell you exactly when, dipshit. Every time when I tried to talk before, every single time it was about Canelo Alvarez, you Bitcho started it first. Bitcho started to cut me off. So guess what? I'm gonna cut you off too. Then you motherfucker started it.
All right. Well, don't be surprised if we make this. Don't be surprised
the thing that annoys me about people like you. The thing that annoys me about people about you is that you try to act like you're in some fucking moral high ground when you're not. If you were straight about it, I'll be straight about it too. That's what I say. That's all I got to say. I don't know.
All right,
and the thing that annoys me, dude, you keep on making comments when I'm off the air. Why don't you say it when I'm here?
I do say it.
Why don't you run and hide like the Carlitas? Why do you do that?
What do I say off the air that I don't say to you online? On the line here.
What the fuck do you mean, dude? You just did it right now. You were saying that I'm going to let you go back to work because a lot of people need to get their dick sucked, and you hanged up on me.
Yeah, because that's the only thing I wanted to say to you.
Listen.
But I said it, but hold on. Hey, booty juice. Listen, booty juice. Booty juice. Booty juice. I let you talk. Booty juice. I let you talk. I let you talk. Now you're being disrespectful. Now you really are being disrespectful. I can handle. Listen. A little salty language. I'm gonna have to mute him. A little salty language. Okay, that's all fine and good. It's all for fun. But interrupting, not letting the other guy call, that's disingenuous. That's being intellectually dishonest. And I just can't handle that. And listen, Booty Juice, I'm gonna say one more time here. You said that I insult you off the air, and then when I asked you what do I say off the air that I don't say to you on the line, and then you admitted that what I told you was on the line. So whatever I tell you, I keep it with you straight. And let me just say one more thing. It didn't used to be this way. You used to call in. It used to be fun. Everything, okay, every once in a while you would take a dig, and then I would have to take a dig, and it's all for fun. But somewhere along the line, it got very abrasive. And listen, if you want to keep it that way, that's your right. I'll keep taking your calls, but I can't spend 20 minutes trying to mend the fence here. This ain't the mending fences show. It used to be, but it ain't anymore. And then on top of that, I got other calls. So I'll give you the last word, and then we got to go, right?
Yeah. Am I muted?
Yeah.
All right. But this is what I mean, though, dude. You say your stupid shit, right, and then you take me off the air. That's what I'm talking about. You might say it on the air, but you're not doing that stupid shit. But again, I don't know why. You bitches always start this stupid shit, man. I'm the one putting it to fucking rest. So that's all I got to say about that, man. Like, are you making it seem like I'm, Mr. fucking, who gives a fuck? Dude, look. Let me say this. The only what I was gonna say prior. The only reason why I don't find out a way to fucking turn your fucking bump channel down is because of Jimmy, because of Recognize, because of Boxing Chief, and because of Uncle Pete. I respect their opinions. They never disrespected me, but I respect their opinions. I respect their analysis. I respect the way they carry themselves. So that's the only reason why I don't do jack shit to your channel. Because if it was any other way around, trust me, I would find out a fucking way to fuck you and your fucking Canelita boyfriends, and that's it. But you should fucking get on your knees and kiss Jimmy's feet, because that's the only reason why I don't do anything, because I respect Jimmy a lot. His analysis is like some of the greatest analysis I've ever heard ever in my life. The guy's like an encyclopedia for boxing. But that's the only reason why I don't do anything to your fucking bum channel. So fuck you. That's it.
All right, take it easy there, Blue Juice. Expect your next call, the next show, right, man? Take it easy out there, man. Take it easy, man. People are saying, somebody was saying that he sounded like he was going to cry. And I was like, nah, man, he's just a little worked up. And then at the end there, yeah, he did sound like he was going to cry. Again, you saw me, guys, you heard me. I tried to mend fences with the guy, but he's a bit of a weirdo. And first he was, well, I don't tell him stuff on the air. I hang up on him, and then I say stuff off the air. But then he admitted that what I told him was on the air. Then he became, well, because you hang up on me. Well, what, you want me to go back and forth with you? I don't know, man. You know, get some angry people out there. All right, well, listen. Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like, hit the like, hit the like. It really helps us out. What else? Hey, wait a minute. Where are we at with the likes? We're at 71 likes. 29 people hit that like. It will really help us out to get to 100, all right, fellas? It works out with the algorithm, all this. Listen, Silicon Valley stuff, all right? I'm not equipped to break it down here. All I know is 100 likes, and we're golden, all right, fellas? Let's go to another phone call here. Let's go to 404. 404, you're on the air. 404, what's on your mind?
What's up, BDA? This is Coach Eddie.
Oh, Coach Eddie, what's up, man?
Nothing much, man. First and foremost, want to comment on the fights last night, and also want to give respect and honor to the risen King, the one and only Jesus Christ. All majesty and all praises due to the Most High.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. Good fight last night. I enjoyed the card actually. Even the Laura fight. Wasn't much to it until he got him out of there, which is in true Laura fashion. He says traps, but he's still got a good left hand. Even for old guy, he caught that guy and put him down one shot. The Rolly fight, Pitbull fight, good entertaining fight. Pitbull looks very strong at 140. He's making Tank Davis look weak now because he actually showed the courage to go up to 140. Well, Tank Davis is sitting there hanging around at 135 and not fighting the best guys in the division. Pitbull moved up a whole other weight division and he looked good. The tszyu-Fundora fight, to me, wasn't an upset because I said this before on other people's channel. I don't think I got a chance to come up and do my prediction. I said to me it was a fight between two contenders because, if you look at the guy's resume, tszyu, best win on there is a Tony Harrison who's kind of on the tail end, and a gatekeeper in Terrell Gaucher. So I wasn't surprised at all. Matter of fact, I picked Fundora to win that fight, just based off of the size, the activity, the style matchup and stuff. And I thought that Fundora learned his lesson, by getting clipped. I thought sometimes you get knocked out, it'll change the way you fight. And you seen how he fought. He fought a very disciplined fight last night, well executed. Didn't get into any, 50-50 exchanges, tied the man up where he needed to, and he started turning him. He just kept stepping to his right, stepping away from the right hand. So, hats off to him. He did a good job, man. A lot of people want to talk about the blood that was in tszyu's eyes. That's definitely a factor, but at the same time, Fundora fought through a broken nose also. So you got two guys that are fighting through injuries. One guy got a broken nose, blood going nowhere. The other guy got blood dripping into his eyes, man. So, all in all, I was satisfied with the fight. Good fight last night. What do you think about it?
Yeah, man, it was a solid night of fights. The only thing is that tszyu, that's the big question. Should the referee have stopped the fight because the blood was interfering? That's usually what they do. If they see an injury is going to affect the fighter's safety, i.e., he can't see, usually they stop it. But the point of it, though, the other side of that coin is that tszyu didn't say that he couldn't see. They asked him, "You want to keep going?" He said, "Sure." So again, it's a fine line between being brave and keep fighting, or at some points, should you quit? Because again, I've said it before, Israel Vasquez quit against Rafael Marquez, the first one. People called him a quitter, some people. Turned out that he really should have quit because his nose was shattered. It was a bag of bones that he was walking around in. And in the rematch, he's the one that stopped Marquez. So yeah, sometimes you can come back from quitting. Sometimes quitting is acceptable. Even the word quitting, they don't use that word in Europe. I think they call it retiring. But again, he wasn't, he didn't complain about it like his father. He's not a complainer, so that's what it was, man. But yeah, Fundora ain't easy for anybody. Even when he lost to Mendoza, he was beating him up before the knockout. So shout out to Fundora. But I don't think we see a rematch though, Coach Eddie. I think Fundora is gonna fight Spence at some sort of a weight, catch weight. What do you think?
I thought they had a rematch clause. But just go back to your point about, if that fight would have got stopped last night, man, that would have been horrible for, first pay-per-view on Amazon Prime. I think that had a lot to do with the reason why it didn't get stopped. it being the first fight on a new platform, man, people would have friggin' came unglued, man. You know what I'm talking? You know how it is, man. You know
That's
boxing,
true,
man.
yeah.
Sometimes even when Tyson Fury fight should have got stopped when he was fighting the Otto Wallin, but because of who it was and because of the Deontay Wilder fight, that fight was able to continue. So a lot of that stuff, and as far as Errol Spence, this will make Errol Spence look like a duck because he clearly ducked the Terence Crawford rematch, and now you're trying to go after, a Fundora. You got spanked by Terence Crawford. You should be trying to get that fight back instead of trying to go after, Fundora.
Right.
Yeah, but that's my thoughts on the whole situation, man.
All right, well, listen, good breakdown, Coach Eddie. Hope you enjoy the fights. And yes, again.
All right, brother. Have a good Resurrection Day, man. Take care, brother.
You too, man. Happy Easter, man. Take it easy out there.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. I want to talk more about that pay-per-view, by the way, the quality of it, but not the fights, mind you. The overall production. It's a little bit a bit of a pet peeve of mine here. But we got more phone calls here. Let's go to the phone call. Hey, wait a minute. Where are we at with the likes? 78 likes. This is disgraceful. On the day our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ rose from the grave, took up shellacking, mind you, worse than what Romero took, and he still said, you know what, I got a job to do. I got to get up on Sunday morning, show myself here, save the world. And you guys haven't even hit the likes. 78 likes. We're 22 likes away from 100. 22 likes, fellas. 22 likes. It's nothing. It's nothing. Just hit the like. 2 seconds it takes, and it really helps us out. We're not asking you to give money here. It's a like. Hit the like, hit the like, hit the like. All right, let's go to another phone call here. Let's go to 917. 917, you're in the air. 917, what's on your mind?
Hey, how's it going, BDA? Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
All right, so I want to make a few comments about the show last night. In my opinion, I was highly entertained by the product, but I was the last fight was very hard to watch. It was difficult to watch because coming into the fight, I was rooting for Timmy hard. I've been following, seen a lot of his fights, and I expected him to come in and dominate with his boxing IQ. He's very heavy-handed. And what I saw was the first 2 rounds, it went exactly as what I had anticipated before this cut happened. But the point I want to dispute, however, is I think that the PBC actually wanted him to win. Because if you listen to the commentators, usually you could tell by what the commentators are saying which side they're leaning towards. And they were really rooting for tszyu, the commentators, hyping him up. And even, after the cut, they were still saying he was ahead for the next couple of rounds. And when you think about the initial matchup, right, when PBC brought in Keith Thurman, I don't think that they think Keith Thurman was going to win that fight. They probably thought, okay, so this is where tszyu is going to beat up this well-known name of Keith Thurman, so then we can promote him in America as like the next guy at 154. So I believe that's what the plan was. And the last indication of that was at the end of the fight, one judge had tszyu up. I mean, he had tszyu winning, and the scores were a lot closer than what I thought. So I think, this cut is just a freak accident. It's something that you couldn't have anticipated, but I don't think PBC was trying to, rig it in any way. He might have been trying to set up Errol Spence with the winner no matter what, but I think it's far-fetched to say they wanted Fundora to win. That's what I think, in my opinion.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, that's what some people are saying there. By the way, is this David from New York?
Yeah.
All right, David. Yeah, that's what some people were saying.
You got a great memory.
Well, I try, man. I try. But listen, there's too many little things there that indicated that, they try to pull the old Guatemalan snatch away on tszyu. But it's fitting for the 154 division, though, because everyone there has a loss. Ramos has a loss. Lubin has 2 losses. There's nobody there that really dominates. The last guy that did was Jermell Charlo, and even he had a loss, even though at least he avenged it. So, what do you think? If Charlo goes back to 154, does he restructure the division, or are we never going to see him at 154 again?
I don't think so. I don't see it. I really don't see it because even I used to be a Charlo fan, and then I don't even want to see him anymore. It's over with. So I think the PBC was like, we're getting a brand new start on a new platform. Let's kind of bring in a new face. You know, he's going to be this is our debut on a new network, and that's why I think they didn't stop the fight, because they're like, oh, we can't have this fight end prematurely in our first pay-per-view event. And the whole blood and gore thing, I think that's part of the appeal. It's like, look at these two warriors. It's like WWE. You know, they say blood is good for TV. I think that's kind of the thing they were going for too. You know, but I was worried for tszyu because it didn't look very healthy, whatever was happening to him. Yeah, as a tszyu fan, I was kind of upset by that. But you know, I'm glad that he made it through. Hopefully, he bounces back. You know.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, you're right, man. We'll see what happens. I don't think he's going to have too much of a problem. I think his management is going to get him multiple fights. But it's a shame for him that now he's got to walk around with a loss on his record that could have been avoided had they made the right moves or had the PBC not done what they did to him. But anyway, man, listen, David, thank you for your call. Good points there about the scorecards, and call back next time, right, man? Take it easy out there.
All right, man. And last thing, shout out Pitbull Cruz, man. Pitbull Cruz is the man. Shout out Pitbull Cruz. All right, peace out.
Yeah. All right, take it easy, man.
Peace out.
Yeah. Shout out to Pitbull Cruz, man. Absolutely. That dude, he brings it, man. He absolutely brings it. All right, we're at 88 likes, by the way. 88 likes. So that means 12 people need to hit that like. 12 more people hit the like. We're at 100. I'm going to take another phone call. And if after that phone call we're not at 100, I you're putting me in a tough position here. I don't know what I'm going to do. It's a Easter Sunday, so I'm going to try to keep it respectful. Let's go to another phone call here. Let's go to 706. 706, you're on the air. 706, what's on your mind?
So what it sounds like is like you're trying to take our fucking flowers away from this weekend. Two great Mexican boxers won. And it's really unbearable and kind of confusing why you keep trying to cry for tszyu that, the elbow. He's not crying about it, okay? Are you fucking Mexican or what are we doing? And the next thing is, now Pitbull brings it, right? Now Pitbull brings it because more people are talking about it. But when I asked you for, what was that video? An analysis on Pitbull, you guys laughed at me. I've been soft banned, and I don't understand why you're taking away from us.
Well, first of all, who's us? Did you? Susir, did you fight this Saturday and Friday?
Wow. You're not a fighter, so you can't talk. You can't have an opinion, bro.
That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying us. You're saying us as if you won. That's if you were there fighting. I know you're a fighter, but you didn't fight this particular Saturday or Friday. So that's what I'm saying in regards to that comment.
Come on, man.
Second of all, listen, Pitbull Cruz. First of all, you never even called in. We were talking about Pitbull Cruz, Rolly Romero this week, and I didn't hear you. You were over there in the Appalachians playing your guitar and bothering your wife. Come on, man. Why didn't you call in and talk about Pitbull Cruz?
Because it was almost so frustrating to try to put him over on this show on the BDA brand.
Come
on. When you get shut down every time, so I'm like, I'm gonna let him do the talking, and then he'll see we will win this weekend, and I know you're gonna go back on your attitude towards him.
No, that's not true. That's not true. Listen, I did think Pitbull Cruz was gonna beat Rolly Romero because Romero is just wide open, and even though he's strong, and I expected him to be more competitive. I was surprised at the way Pitbull Cruz looked, but again, I'm also equally surprised that you didn't call in and support your guy. You're the biggest Pitbull Cruz supporter out there. But anyway, listen, I gotta ask you. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I wanted to ask you: does he stay at 140 or should he go back to 135? Because when he fought El Cabron Cabrera, he was hitting that the guy had his chin up in the air. And Pitbull Cruz was hitting him with flush shots and he wasn't going anywhere, which now makes me believe maybe Cruz is one of those guys he's too short for the divisions, but he's also very jam-packed, so maybe he was having trouble making weight at 135, and that's what took away some pop from his shots. What do you think? Should he stay at 140 or should he go back to 135?
Look, I don't know shit about boxing like that, okay? I don't know, should he move up? I just know when I see a Mexican on the fuck, I start seeing flags, Mexican flags, I'm there watching. I don't care about, this and that. I don't give a shit about that. But, I think Pitbull's the fucking man, man. Les rompimos su puta madre a los cubanos. And that's what I love to fucking see.
Whether it's Spanish or English, when you start badmouthing on a Sunday, Now I got an issue with you there, Suser. Sunday. You're. Oh no, wait, I forget. You're not a Christian. You're a Satanist.
Everybody's welcome here, correct?
That's right. Except people that.
Okay, and last.
Yeah.
No Jews, I get it. But listen, lastly, this is what I wanted to
I didn't say that. wait. I didn't say that.
Okay, but let me say this before I go. Georgia used to be a Mexican place, man. Okay, it was a beautiful place for Mexicans. Okay, they need to they need to close the border. They need to get Venezuelans, Haitians, and all these other Central Americans, Caribbeans out of this place. Make Georgia Mexican again.
Suser, you almost said make Georgia gay again. But you said great again. Okay. Oh, Mexican again. Make Georgia Mexican. Oh, there you go. What's the acronym? Make Georgia MG. He hung up. All right. I was trying to figure out an acronym for that. Shout out to Suser, who I must say, he's always been an Isaac Cruz supporter. That's no doubt about it, man. He's always been on the Isaac Cruz train. So shout out to him. But again, I mean, look, he beat up Rolly Romero. Let's not make it out to be like he beat Teofimo Lopez in there or anything. Although now I am curious how that fight would go. Because Isaac Cruz does bring firepower. Not just pressure, but he does have firepower. So it will be an interesting fight. And by the way, Rolly Romero... Oh, actually, okay, one more phone call. I want to say one last thing about Rolly Romero and his choices that he's made with the PBC. Hold on a second. Do we even continue here or are we at 94 likes? Okay, one last chance. 6 people hit that like. And then we stay on the air after this phone call. Otherwise, I got to get my keister out of here. So 6 more people hit that like, fellas. 6 or 5 now. We're at 95. One good Samaritan hit the like. All right, hit the like. Let's go to our phone call here. Let's go to 323. 323, you're on the air. 323, what's on your mind?
Is that me?
Yes, sir. 323.
Hello? Oh, yeah, this is Zero Cool. First of all, Booty Tickle, he needs to get lost because, he makes a lot of ridiculous comments and most of them is just bullshit. But as far as the Cruz and Rolly fight, it would have been a lot more entertaining if Rolly wasn't running like a little bitch. He reminded me of Floyd Mayweather. He should have got knocked out. And as far as tszyu and tszyu-Fundora, it was a good fight. I honestly think that Tim is a better fighter. I think the blood was really fucking up his vision, and if they were to ever do a rematch, I think Tim would win. But nothing to take away from Fundora. He took the opportunity. He took a chance, and he was also fighting with with a bloody nose and a bloody mouth. But that's not the same as something taking away your vision. I'm surprised that people are talking about Spence when Crawford I believe he's been petitioning the WBO to be the mandatory for the winner. I don't think that Fundora could beat Crawford. Spence, I'm not sure how he is because he looked horrible versus his last fight. So we really don't know how much Spence is really in there. But I just wanted to ask you guys, do you think that Cruz will go ahead and try to unify versus Haney or any of the other division? I mean, other champions?
Who's going to unify, sorry?
Cruz?
Oh, you're asking whether Cruz is going to try to unify?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, man, because who does the PBC... You know what? That's a good question there, Zero Cool. Let me just check real quick who's at 140, because I know they got Gary Anton Russell, but the last time he fought, he hadn't fought in over a year, and then the last time he fought was last year, I believe. They finally got him a fight, and I think it was like a 20-second fight or something. And I know Puello hasn't fought since he popped dirty, and they took his title away from him, and then they ended up giving it to Romero. So how many fights could they make? All right, so I'm just putting up the list here. They got the aforementioned Gary Anton Russell. Maybe they put him in there with Cruz, but he doesn't have a title, so your question was unification. Matias, he's got a fight, so I don't think they put him in there. And then the other 3 guys that he could unify with are not with the PBC. So no, I don't expect any unification there. Super cool. Would it make more sense though that they put him in there with Gervonta Davis if Davis makes it past Frank Martin?
Well, yeah. I mean, it would be a good rematch because, like I said, a lot of people thought that it was a close fight. Some people even had Pitbull winning. And, with his new at 140, he looks a little bit more solid. Mm-hmm. So it could be the same fight. It could be a different fight. But I definitely believe that Cruz deserves a Tank rematch.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, that's some people are saying that now, especially after the string of wins he's put together. Or I mean, he's put a string of wins together, so he's on the right track. So maybe that permits him to fight Tank Davis again for relatively good money. All right, well, Zero Cool. Anything else you want to say, man?
No, just like screw Booty Tickle. Like he's a fucking retard. He doesn't know half the shit he's saying. But yeah, have a good show, BDA.
All right, thank you, Zero Cool. Thank you for your call, and call back next time, right, man? Take it easy out there.
All right.
I mean, now next time Booty Juice calls, he's gonna have somebody else to scream about. It's gonna be me, then it's gonna be Bucho, then it's gonna be this guy, then it's gonna be people in the chat. So it's never gonna be end. Before he even gets to his boxing talk, he's gonna have to go through 5 names of people he wants to insult. Hey, what if we get the list to just everybody in the chat? That way, all he can say is just everybody, fuck everybody, and then he can get to his boxing takes. I think that would be more economical. All right, by the way, shout out to everybody that hit the like, fellas. We're at 109 likes now, so shout out to you, fellas. Really appreciate it. Yeah, the thing I want to say about Rolly Romero is, you guys remember that Romero was actually in negotiations or actually talking about fighting Ryan Garcia. It looked like that fight, there were good chances that it could get made. But then Rolly Romero said, oh, no, you know what? I'm going to go fight, I'm going to fight Cruz. And he ended up fighting Cruz now for less money. He even admitted, he says, yeah, I could have fought Ryan Garcia for more money. Now, there's a couple of ways of looking at this. Some people could say, well, okay, maybe Cruz, depending on what you guys think, Cruz is a much more dangerous opponent than Ryan Garcia. That's the way some people would see it, right? So they could say, okay, so Rolly chose the path of more resistance for less money. Good on him. Good on him. That's one scenario. Right? That's one way of looking at it. But is that the way it really happened? If you're Rolly Romero's manager, first of all, you fight Ryan Garcia. It's not a bad fight. It's not like he's a complete nobody. I mean, people are giving Devin Haney credit for fighting Garcia, so why wouldn't Rolly Romero get some of that? On top of that, like he said, he would have gotten more money for that. So if his managers are looking out for him, or supposed to do so, his manager, his promoter, why didn't they say, you know what, fight Ryan Garcia? Why did he have to go to stick with the PBC and fight this dude for less money? And now he ended up losing. What was the incentive behind that? What was the point behind that? It just seems as if the PBC didn't really want to work with anybody. Because if he fights if Romero would have fought Ryan Garcia and Ryan Garcia walks away with a win, they leave Romero with a loss. But if we put him in there against a guy from Arnold's stable, he's we keep whoever wins. But then again, that's the point. Aren't they supposed to be looking out for Romero and offering him the most amount of money possible? Because that's what fighters always say. When you tell them, you criticize them, they go, well, don't criticize me because I'm the one that's fighting. Oh, okay, so you're the one that's fighting. You want to have money to take care of your family later on. That's the other big point that they try to make. Okay, so now you had a chance to make money, and they kept you and they gave you the runaround. I mean, I don't know. It's just it seems weird that's what happened with Romero. But hey, I suppose maybe there is something to it that he fought the more dangerous fighter. But I just don't think he did it because of this noble endeavor or sentiment that, hey, I fight the best, man. I don't fight for money. Which, I guess now he walks away with a loss. He took a beating. He's probably going to be, as usual, most people are suspended for a certain amount of time after taking a beating like that. And he's with the PBC, so we probably won't see Romero until next year. Possibly all the way up until the summer of next year. I don't know, if he's lucky. So that's the way that one went right there. Fellas, the phone number is right there in the left and middle portion of your screen. Make sure to call in. Give us your thoughts on everything that happened this past weekend. Also, may I also say, because we got about 15 minutes left here, the production of last night's event. Now, I can't show you any clips. And by the way, our colleague, Never Sobers, actually had some trouble with his stream. And that's something that, again, I'm going to give a little advice here. whenever there's anybody broadcasting a fight and Amazon is involved, you better just not stream during that fight. Even if you're not, even if you're not playing sound, whatever. Because I don't know, for some reason, anytime Amazon is associated with one of these fights, they started screwing around with your stream. I remember after the Kiraguchi versus Taraji fight, I went live in the morning, and I think I showed a screen because I was trying to find pictures of the fight. And when I went on Google, there was a screen cap of the actual broadcast. And I put that up there, and I think that, as far as I know, that's the only thing that I can remember that I put from the fight. There was no sound on nothing. I wasn't broadcasting during the fight. And boom, hard copyright strike. Hard. And I'm thinking, well, wait a minute. And I sent these fuckers an email, because that's what you do with YouTube. You go, hey, you tell them that there was no copyright, anything in there. And they never replied. Now, if indeed it was a screen cap in question, they would have told me, hey, yeah, it was a screen cap, but they never did. They never replied to about 4 or 5 emails that I sent. Very unprofessional. I don't know what they were doing over there. So just when you're dealing with unprofessional people like that, just err on the side of caution. Just don't live stream whenever anything involving Amazon is on. Because these people, I don't know what they're on, man. But they're on that power trip, I guess. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. I hate to speculate. But in terms of the production, again, for people that are unaware, PBC put on their first event since getting kicked out of Showtime. And a lot of us were curious about how it was going to look aesthetically. Because when they held a press conference for tszyu versus Thurman, they had a dilapidated podium. It lacked a certain level of glamour that you see from other press conferences. And so immediately people jumped on board and they said, hey, how's the production going to look? Well, they ended up having Mauro Ranallo and what's his name? Joe Goosen, who's always a good fit for them. By the way, I'm Your Leader says they dumped the only credible voice they had, Al Bernstein. I was under the impression, that's why I didn't hear him. I was under the impression that they were going to have him on. He said, I'll be back for the Amazon thing. They didn't have him on? Okay, now you guys are confused. I thought I heard him, by the way. I didn't hear him, and that was weird, because then I remembered that he said on Twitter that he was going to be a commentator. I wonder what happened there. But now the production itself, now when it comes to camera work, it was okay. They were switching back and forth different angles at the appropriate time. But when it came to the graphics, I did notice a bit of a drop-off in terms of the graph. When they introduce, the tale of the tape or future events or blah, 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 usually they do a transition with the graphic, slides in, or sometimes it flashes in with this lens flare effects. They didn't have any of that. It was just like this plain graphics. And it reminded me of when Don King used to hold his cards and HBO wouldn't give him any money for it. So he said, okay, I'm going to finance the whole pay-per-view myself. And you had the international broadcast from King Vision, I think it was. And it was very plain. Certainly lacked the pizzazz and the glamour and the glossiness of HBO and Showtime productions. And I noticed the same thing here yesterday. Now, some people are going to say, BD, are you saying that I'm not, the fights were good, don't get me wrong. It was worth the money at the end of the day, even though on paper they didn't seem like they were going to deliver. But I'm just pointing out the fact that the production quality, there seemed to be a bit of a drop-off. Also, the lighting. Because now you got to remember, too, the people that set up, the lights and all that, it takes time, setting up the ring, setting up the microphones, having to equalize and compress everything so that it sounds okay, and that the sound of the crowd's not too overbearing over the commentators, blah, blah, blah. All of that takes time to set up. And the lights, they looked a little bit too orangey. It looked a bit like a student production when they don't have proper lighting and they're just using the light bulbs from the room to light the scene. That's what it looked like to me. It wasn't a bad. I'm not saying it was horrible or amateurish, but there was a drop off in quality compared to what they had with Showtime. And again, all of that takes money. And this is all Al Heyman. PBC is the one that's financing this. So you certainly saw a big drop off in that. And again, we got one more card coming up, Benavides Tank Davis. But even then, they haven't announced it. We're already going to be walking into April. They haven't announced anything, so we'll see what happens with the PBC, man. They're certainly not in a good place right now, with so many inactive fighters unable to eat, unable to earn money. That's why you see a lot of guys just jumping ship. Deontay Wilder now, excuse me, he's going to be fighting on the zone again, if I remember correctly. That's another. That was a guy that was supposed to be one of their big stars, right? And this is why a lot of people, like Don Madrazos was so pissed off, and other callers, they're under the impression that there was some shadow play going on from the PBC with the whole tszyu-Fundora thing. Because again, who do they have right now? They don't have Canelo under any type of deal. They have him on a one-fight deal. That's it. Errol Spence, he looks like a bit of a drunk right now, and probably finished too. Tank Davis, who knows when he's fighting, and he only fights once a year. Other than last year was the exception. Even then, he lost after April. He was gone. He had to take care of his legal obligations, and I'm pretty sure it's not going to be the last time he gets into legal trouble. So who else do they have? Who's the next big star that the PBC has that they can make money off of? Again, all these guys jumping ship, recognizable names like Deontay Wilder leaving, so they're in a bit of a hard spot, man. And then comes the fun now. To see if they're going to announce how many pay-per-views this past event made. We're going to see Dan Raphael, tell you, insiders say 250,000 pay-per-view buys, and then that's it. You're supposed to take his word for it. I am curious to see how they're going to work this out, because that's the other thing. Amazon didn't even offer the fight here. When people were saying, the PBC, they're with Amazon now. They reach, this many countries, blah, blah, blah. They don't reach Canada. Because Amazon wasn't showing the fight here in Canada. It was only in the United States. If you wanted to watch the fight somewhere else, I don't know, you had to, I don't know, outside the other countries, outside Canada, how other people had to do it. So yeah, they're in a lot of trouble. And anybody that doesn't see it, I don't know what to tell you, man. They were the same, they were the same people that were saying that Showtime last year, Showtime's got the best schedule, they got the best schedule. And then a couple of months later, Showtime's getting out of the boxing business. So, I don't know. It's just, some people just can't see the signs. And hey, biblically speaking, it's like Noah, Noah's Ark. Some people were mocking Noah. You're building an ark. What the fuck? What are you doing? And then when the rain came, some people got washed away with it. Fellas, the phone lines are open. We're gonna be here for another 9 minutes, I suppose, because then I got a vamoose. I got some things to take care of on this Eastern Sunday. What else? Oh yeah, so Valdez again. I don't know what is going to happen. They were talking about Valdez. Maybe fight. Well, maybe it was Vaquero Lopez. No, excuse me, Vaquero Lopez. Venado Lopez. Venado Lopez is the one that was saying that he was on ESPN. And he says he wants to fight the winner. He wanted to fight the winner Valdez, Liam Wilson, particularly if it was Valdez the winner. And now Valdez wins. So I'm thinking, Lopez versus Valdez. That's a good fight right there. Two guys that launch hooks, powerful shots. I wouldn't mind seeing it. And incidentally, speaking of Venado Lopez, we had Ray Martinez fight yesterday as well against a very tough. What was the guy's name? I don't want to mispronounce it. Caballero? No, that wasn't Caballero. What was the guy's name? Cordova. Tough dude. He shot punches in bunches. Really let his hands go. I mean, I enjoy the fight. And Ray Martinez, actually, Julio Cesar Martinez. Why do I keep calling him Ray Martinez? It's the Martinez thing threw me off. Julio Cesar Martinez. He's the one that beat Cordova and dropped him twice with jabs, beat him up. But Cordova never stopped throwing. It was actually a pretty interesting fight, man. And Martinez reminds me of Venado Lopez a little bit. He doesn't really jab all that much. He doesn't initiate his offense with jabs. He leads with hooks. And but at least Venado Lopez has a certain responsible level of defense. Martinez doesn't really care if he gets hit. And he whacks with those left hooks, puts everything behind it, and he gets hit, and he doesn't really seem to mind it. And let's not forget that Chocolatito hit him with everything but the kitchen sink. And he couldn't hurt him. So that was interesting right there from Martinez. Eventually, I suspect someone's going to get to him with one shot, but I don't think it's going to come anytime soon. I don't expect, especially if he fights Sonny Edwards. You know, Sonny Edwards wanted that fight for a while. I think Sonny Edwards might outbox him, probably will, because he'd be able to hit him and keep him turning. But if Martinez plays his cards right and goes to the body and works that body, he could potentially take Sonny Edwards out. I mean, when you got punching power, you can do it. But I don't know if he has the technique or the foundation to get it done against Sonny Edwards. Again, if that fight happens. And Murataya fought too on Friday. He ended up beating an African fighter that Arnold Barboza had taken out in his last fight not that long ago. And Murataya couldn't take him out. And I was surprised because Barboza's not the biggest puncher out there. And if he could take out this dude, you would have expected Murataya to, and it didn't happen. And some people are saying, Tim Bradley was saying that it's because Murataya had a tough weight cut. I don't know if that's the case. I suppose we'll see his next fight, or if indeed he moves up to 140 eventually. Let's not forget, Robert Garcia is the type of guy that he likes to make his fighters cut weight. I don't know if he likes it, but he prefers it seems. You know, they did it for a long time with one of his first fighters that really had a lot of success was Brandon Rios. And that dude was big for the lightweight division, and they kept making him kill himself to fight at lightweight. So it seems like it's one of those camps, one of those gyms where it's, hey, lose the weight, suck it up, but it'll help you out in the long run, have a size advantage. And I don't know, at this point, it didn't seem to be the case. And Bradley did make a good point that Murataya was slapping with his shots. There were arm punches. He wasn't really turning them over. So I know maybe he did lose some steam later on. It was weird. He was in complete control of that fight, rolling with the shots, and then eventually he would take some shots because he didn't really seem to mind because he was just looking for an opening. Perhaps he should have gone to the body more, but we'll see, man. I mean, hey, listen, some fighters have those bad-looking fights. I mean, we certainly saw Shakur Stevenson looked awful at least twice. So, but at least Murataya made the fight. He wasn't hopping around the ring like a rabbit. You know, he actually went in there and tried to look for a fight. So I guess there's something to be said for that, but we'll see what happens. Torres, the Mexican heavyweight, scored a knockout, but I didn't see it because he was fighting a no-hoper. So what am I interested in watching that? I like a knockout here, but I also want to see it done against somebody that counts. So hopefully they get him someone good next time. Speaking of next time, April the 6th, next week, we've got Richardson Hitchens taking on a very tough Gustavo Daniel Lemos. Call him the Argentinian Isaac Cruz because that's the way he fights. And it's going to be interesting to see how Hitchens handles him or if he can handle him. That's going to be an interesting one. The always sensational Diego Pacheco is going to be fighting as well. And then you got Galal Yafai against Agustin Mauro Gauto. That's a nice little fight right there. And then April the 13th, speaking of heavyweights, the way I was talking about Torres earlier, we've got Jared Anderson taking on Riyad Merhi. And then we've got Efe Ajagba on the undercard taking on the Italian Guido Vianello. Why, Efe Ajagba, I think he already beat Jerry Rice, right? Because that dude is the guy that beat the Italian. No, not Jerry Rice. What's the guy's name, the boxer? Jonathan Rice, right? I think that's his name. He's pulled off a couple of upsets since he's been boxing. Hold on, did he ever lose? Yeah, he lost to Ajagba by unanimous decision during the pandemic. Okay, so I understand why they wouldn't put him in there again. But Vianello, I don't know, man. I want to see Ajagba step it up again, like he did against Sanchez not that long ago. But I don't suspect it happens there. And what else? In the chat, Handsome Mechanic says, BD, what's up with Rachel Donaire being a boxing trainer? I mean, I guess because she's been in the corner of Donaire, of her husband now, she's starting to get into it. I don't know, man, listen, if a woman knows what she's talking about, she can certainly train. It's unusual, because mostly it's a sport that men get into to train. But if she's good, she could be good. I've seen, you mostly see female trainers in the amateurs. They don't really get in there in the pro ranks, so we'll see. We shall see indeed. What else? Well, yeah, I guess that's about it, fellas. I guess we wrap it up here. Hey, Frank Bay, shout out to Boxing with Frank Bay says, salute BDA, Zoo got screwed. I mean, it seems, some people are saying that I'm going to think more on this and look more into this, see what and then, of course, wait and see what happens for the... where Fundora goes. Because if there's no immediate rematch, then I mean, I guess that says it all, or says a lot of it. Handsome Mechanic says, stop simping, BDA. She's not going to call you. I'm not not simping. I'm just saying I've seen female trainers in the amateurs, but it's unusual to see them in the pro ranks. And I think she should start small, by the way. She's going to start, if she's going to take control of a corner, she should start in the amateurs. Don't go around thinking you're too big for your britches and go find in a professional corner championship fight. That takes a certain amount of wherewithal too. You got to know how to talk to the fighter. You got to know if you got to scream at the fighter, and of course you got to provide technique and how to do certain things. You know, because you see some trainers. I remember when Mike Tyson was fighting Evander Holyfield, the first one, he was getting beat up, and I think one of the cornermen told Tyson, "Hit harder, Mike." That was the big advice they gave him: hit harder. Gee, I didn't think of that one. How about be faster? How about be better? That's the type of advice some people give. So it is what it is, man. You got to get yourself a competent trainer, and it's hard to find good trainers nowadays. Anybody with a towel on their shoulder can go into a gym, say, "Yeah, I'm a trainer. Sure, I'll train you." So it's hard. It's hard. All right, listen, fellas. Thanks again for joining us. Really appreciate it on this Easter Sunday. I guess everybody else was busy, the usual panelists, but we'll try to do another show this week to cover some of the drama that happened this weekend and some of the stuff that's going to be happening next week. Again, we got a pretty good card. Slim pickings in April. The biggest fight on paper is Haney versus Garcia, and we don't even know if that's going to happen. So we shall see. We do have a good card by the end of April on the zone. Jose Ramirez versus Francis Barthelemy, and then on the undercard, Virgil Ortiz. Those are two guys that bring it fireworks. On paper, they look like mismatches, but you just never know when you get aggressive guys like Ramirez and Virgil Ortiz. And then a week after that, May the 4th, you get Canelo Alvarez versus Munguia. There's Emmanuel Rodriguez coming back, fighting for a title in Japan. Interesting. All right. Well, listen, fellas, I will leave it at that. Shout out to you. Thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. Glad you enjoyed the show. Thank you for hitting the like. Shout out to everybody that donated via the super chat, everybody that called in. And that's about it, fellas. Thank you for joining us. Catch you on the next one. Take it easy. Thanks for watching.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to offend you.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I kiss you on the mouth.
No, I'm not cool with that. I'm sorry.
One more time.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I mean, I'm dealing with degenerate animals.
I'm disappointed in everyone. Totally disappointed in everyone.
All right, come on.
Honestly, I can't do it, man.
I'm disappointed in everyone.
Then let me tell you why.
It's gonna be alright, Nicky. Go ahead. Shoot.
He's just killed a little fucking man.
What are you going to do about it?
You're happy because you got nothing. You don't got a thing. You're happy because you got nothing. You got nothing.
I want to get out. I want to get out of this rat hole. I want to get online. I need
BDA Boxing.